told you that for the rest of your life, you could only read books that were on the topics of Excel spreadsheets, the history of paperclips, or being stuck in traffic. Now, obviously some of you might not like reading, but for those of you who do, I imagine that even then it would be difficult. I mean, I think it would bore me to death, reading about the same experiences over and over again, learning nothing new about our world. For me, that's one of the reasons why I read. I'm able to learn about the diverse experiences that humans have. That is the beauty of literature. In our world right now, a huge issue that is facing us is book censorship. Schools and libraries across the world are banning books that they seem to be pushing a political agenda. Social media has only amplified this. Facebook groups are being set up titled Book Burning Event, where parents plan to ban books that they seem as being offensive. Gender-based literary censorship is a very current issue, and in a world that claims to champion freedom of speech and expression, we have to face that certain voices are still being silenced, solely based on their gender and the ideas that they express. So, what is gender-based literary censorship? It is essentially the suppression or prohibition of writing that is influenced by the author's gender, and most literature is typically censored when a specific group of people has objected to the ideas that the book presents. And as long as there has been literature, there has been censorship against women throughout history. The first known female author is Greek poet Sappho, who lived on the island of Lesbos during the 6th century BCE. Her poetry focused on themes of love, desire, and sex between women, which prudish classical scholars chose to interpret as friendly affection. Sappho's poetry soon prompted outrage from Christian writers, such as Tatian, calling her a whore who sang about her own lasciviousness. Lovely. As a result of these reactions, because God forbid women write about love, her works were burned by St. Gregory of Nazianzus, leaving the modern world with fragments of her poetry. Despite these efforts to eradicate her impact from history, she is one of the most influential female poets of all time, with the actual term lesbian originating from her home, Lesbos. And similar attitudes that the disgusted Christian censors saw in Sappho can be recognized in many other misogynistic attitudes shown towards female authors throughout history. One of the many examples of this is Radcliffe Hall's The Well of Loneliness, published in 1928, telling the story of a high-class Englishwoman struggling with her sexuality within the time of the strict confines of society. The book did not include any graphic imagery, and yet was accused of violating the Obscene Publications Act, being seen as a corrupting influence on young women, as if the publication of one book would force all women out of the kitchen and suddenly declare their lesbian identities. In the end, the book was banned in 1928, with the court stating it defended unnatural practices between women. Now, The Well of Loneliness is far from a masterpiece, feeling very dated with its confined depiction of lesbianism, tedious dialogue, as well as racism and classism, which is shocking for a modern reader, amplified by the cultural value in the novel. Not only this, but Hall herself actually supported the fascist government in Italy at the time, which isn't really what we'd expect from a progressive lesbian author. However, the impact of the book was huge. It provided visibility for a community in which there was none. It was a beacon for sexual self-discovery, and the book is undoubtedly flawed. However, with its republishing, it has helped to shape society's understanding of love between women. Now, to us, banning books on the grounds of obscenity may seem like a thing of the past. However, this is far from the truth. Contemporary novels that deal with very serious themes of sexual assault, such as Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, published in 1999, tackle difficult, subtler matters, such as the importance of speaking out against sexual assault. However, in the early 2000s, the book faced huge challenges across America, being labeled filthy and immoral simply because of the explicit content that was in the book. Not only this, but it was actually one of the most banned books during the early 2000s. It seems painfully ironic that the book like Speak, which is about speaking out against injustices, ends up being banned. If we really want to help survivors of sexual assault, books like these are so important to opening up discussions and showing empathy for survivors. Not only this, but Margaret Atwood's novel, The Handmaid's Tale, was banned throughout schools, libraries, and even countries for its inclusion of violent sex. And in response to these critics, Margaret Atwood created an unburnable version of her book and tried to burn it with a flamethrower. Now, I personally think that this is an appropriate response, because obviously don't try this at home with your copy, but this photo is shocking. It evokes a response in us. And this is essential because to simply sit back and let this continue is excusing it and helping to create the problem. These examples serve as a small representation of literary censorship. And this has to stop, because why should women be the ones to suffer the most from gender-based literary censorship? The obvious answer is misogyny. And although progress has been made with female authors being given the representation that they deserve, the fact that the American Literary Association documented the highest number of demands to censor and ban books in 2022 proves that there is a problem. Books are an entry to different life experiences and allow us to learn more about the world around us and the people that live it. When you ban those books, you limit the knowledge of the world around us, you silence victims, you limit diversity in the literary canon. And when young people fail to encounter books that mirror the world around them, or lack of characters that represent them, they internalize that their own lives are not fit for representation, and that is heartbreaking. So, what are we supposed to do about this? The issue seems too large that we can't properly engage with it, but we can all do something to stop this. By simply going to a bookshop and buying a book by a marginalized author whose ideas may challenge typical gender stereotypes that we've been given. Through showing an interest in books that express these ideas, demonstrates to publishing companies the importance of giving marginalized female authors an area to share their stories, and the importance of providing platforms for underrepresented authors. And it sounds easy to us, and it won't instantly solve the problem of gender-based literary censorship. However, it shows support for these voices, and not only this, but ensuring diversity within the school curriculum is essential. So school children aren't left wondering if any other playwrights other than Shakespeare actually existed in history. Schools providing diverse literary curriculums is essential, as the more perspectives that we encounter through books, the more enriched our understanding of life is. We have a long way to go. Progress has been made, but more needs to happen. Those people still exist who are happy to throw gasoline and burn any book that has the word gay in it, scarily reminiscent of the 20th century Nazi book burnings. We should all be free to express human creativity through literature, not bound by gender or censorship. Many untold stories are yet to be told, and it is our responsibility to share them. We can embrace the stories that have been silenced and work towards a world in which these narratives are normalized. Thank you.